Hallå allihopa och varmt välkomna ska ni vara till ett väldigt speciellt ML-podden avsnitt. Det här kommer vara ett poddavsnitt som faktiskt är för alla. Så det kommer vara ett offentligt poddavsnitt där vi delar på Instagram så att alla kan lyssna på den här podden. Se lite hur vi arbetar och liknande. Vi ska idag prata med en från teamet från First Majestic Silver. Alkhafaji, som vi även har fått äran att träffa vid 2 tillfällen. En gång i Stockholm träffades vi och en gång även i Tyskland i Frankfurt. Jag har pratat om First Majestic Silver på Instagram flera gånger. Vi har följt bolaget i flera år och det är en ära att faktiskt också ha en personlig relation till bolaget och att de vill ställa upp på sådana här samtal också, besvara lite av våra frågor och förklara sina tankar framåt då. Den här videons upplägg kommer delas in i 3 delar. Där del 1 så går jag igenom den tekniska biten med er nu. Jag kommer ge er en introduktion till bolaget och självaste caset då. Del 2 så delar vi självaste intervjun och sen avslutar vi med en del 3 där jag och Clay sammanfattar lite våra tankar, lite slutsatser vi tar med oss och så vidare. Videon är också indelad i 3 delar där den första delen består av bakgrund, vem Mani är som person, varför det är relevant för att i gruvindustrin så är det otroligt viktigt med management team, vilka är det bakom, för det är det som avgör om de här kommer att skapa aktieägarvärde eller inte. Därefter så går vi igenom lite mer om silversektorn och makron i silversektorn för att sen avsluta kring First Majestic Silver och hur de faktiskt positionerar sig i den här bullmarknaden i silversektorn som vi faktiskt ser. Vi får ta del av flera av hans tankar, lite kring hans syn på värderingen i bolaget. Han sa det att nu med silverpriset på $90 så hade jag förväntat mig att aktiekursen skulle vara på $100. Men som ni ser på skärmen här så är aktiekursen på 21,5. Men vi kommer prata lite om targets och så vidare i First Majestic Silver framåt då. Lite kort om First Majestic Silver, det är att det är ett av de största renodlade silverbolagen i världen och i Nordamerika och man har 100% fokus på Mexiko. Bolaget har byggt sin identitet kring hög silverexponering och tydlig hävstång mot silverpriset. Man är i en unik sweet spot som vi pratat om i flera tillfällen på ML Community, att man är ett stort bolag i Mexiko, man har cash in the bank, man har en stark balansräkning, man har supertrogna aktieägare. Och man kommer att se till att förvärva andra gruvor billigt i Mexiko. Man har liksom första tjing. Så man är i en sweet spot som är väldigt fin. Och utöver det så har man management som är i världsklass. Vår gäst, Alkhafaji, som sagt han är president på First Majestic Silver. Mani har en lång bakgrund inom gruvindustrin och spelat en central roll i bolaget. Mani är till skillnad från Keith ganska ung. Vi har ju även, som de flesta av er känner till, haft ett samtal med vdn och grundaren för bolaget. Men han kommer börja komma upp i åldrarna. Mani är en fräsch yngre man och kommer att leda bolaget i många år framåt. Vi får se om det blir i First Majestic Silver eller om han drar igång någonting eget. Men han kommer att vara en av ledarna i silverindustrin kommande åren då. Ett annat bolag vi nämner i poddavsnittet, det är Sierra Madre. Jag slänger upp en graf här framför er. Sierra Madre, det är ett bolag som vi äger på ML Community, de flesta av oss äger dem. Varför vi nämner dem, det är för att de har ett samarbete med First Majestic Silver. Sierra Madre är ett betydligt mindre bolag. Och First Majestic Silver äger ungefär 40% av Sierra Madre och sålde nyligen en gruva till Sierra Madre för att de anser att de kommer förvalta den mycket bättre just för att de är mindre. Utöver det så som sagt, vi har följt First Majestic väldigt länge och många av oss på ML Community är upp ungefär 200-300% i det här bolaget. Men som alla vet så brukar jag tycka om att dela case när det är rätt läge även på Instagram. Och kollar vi bara sen ett par veckor tillbaka så ser vi faktiskt att jag delade en köpzon i First Majestic Silver och sen dess har bolaget presterat väldigt väl. Vi är upp ungefär 110%, vilket är helt otroligt och faktiskt tagit min target för 2026. Jag förväntar mig dock att den här targeten kommer brytas. Det här är inte en slutlig target. Jag har satt $50 här på 2027, men det skulle även kunna nås nu under 2026. Vi får se lite hur det spelar ut. Som sagt, Mani är överraskad över kursens pris just nu. Han trodde att kursen skulle vara på $100 och jag ser hans resonemang. Vi kommer prata lite i intervjun också om varför och hur. Men allting mynnar ut i att vi fortfarande är väldigt tidigt i den här bullcykeln i ädelmetallerna. Det är inte mycket fokus på de här sektorerna i samband med att SP500 och AI och tech också ständigt når all time high på månadsbasis, så har den generella investeraren inte funnit någon anledning till att rotera pengar till ädelmetallsektorn. Det är orörd mark, det är läskig mark, folk förstår inte, så såklart har man ingen anledning att kasta in pengar i den här sektorn när deras egna portföljer faktiskt också når all time high på månadsbasis. Men på ML-community så tror vi att vi kommer att ha en långsiktig topp i SP500 under 2026. Väl där, när börsen toppar, bolagen tar inte ut all time high varenda månad, så kommer den generella investeraren att titta på sektorer som faktiskt presterar väldigt väl. Och där är silver och guld i framkant, där de är så extremt lönsamma så att värderingarna är otroligt låga och förmodligen kommer att explodera på uppsidan. Så jag skulle fortfarande säga det att vi är tidigt inne i den här cykeln. Ni ser framför er First Majestic är upp 400% på bara 2 år. Men jag anser fortfarande att vi har mycket mer på uppsidan kommande åren. Den här bullmarknaden i ädelmetallerna är fortfarande inte över enligt mig då. Som ni ser framför er nu så har vi faktiskt lyft caset tidigt. Många av oss har varit bullish bolaget länge av tydliga anledningar. Och jag delade den här inlägget i juli 2024. Och det var ju här någonstans där jag pratade om att det är ett ypperligt tillfälle och ett så kallat öppet mål som vi brukar säga i ML-community. Ser vi till grafen i sin helhet så det här ser väldigt bra ut. Vi har stabiliserat priset. Jag tror att vi ska upp till 50, upp till $100 under kommande åren då. Ser vi till korrelationen till silverpriset så kan vi se här går in på månadsgrafen. Så kan vi se hur bolaget har presterat i relation till silverpriset då. Så vi ser här 2011 så var bolaget på aktiekurs 27 och silverpriset var på 50. Ska vi se här. Så vi ser att bolaget har ännu inte tagit ut den här toppen. Men vi ser att silverpriset har tagit ut den här toppen gånger 2. Silverpriset är på 90, det här toppen var på 50. Så silver har alltså outperformat det här bolaget. Bolaget är släpande så att säga. Ser vi till 2021-toppen som sattes här i silver så är det ungefär samma nivå på First Majestic. 23 ungefär. Men även den toppen har inte tagits ut än. Och allt det här indikerar på att vi fortfarande är tidigt i den här cykeln. Det här är en av många faktorer som gör att jag anser att vi fortfarande har väldigt mycket uppsida kvar i bolaget då. Men jag vill visuellt förklara för alla också. Visa hur släpande det här bolaget faktiskt är. Så 2021 när silverpriset var på $30 så värdesättes bolaget här uppe. Nu när silverpriset stigit till $90, alltså 200%, så bolaget inte ens värt samma. Samtidigt som lönsamheten har ökat enormt mycket. Att silverpriset har ökat 200% betyder inte att lönsamheten har ökat 200%. Det betyder snarare att lönsamheten har ökat 2000%. Jag tar ett snabbt exempel och det har med exponentiellt att göra. Ska vi se här. Om vi tar ett silverpris på ungefär 30 som vi hade då. Vi har ett silverpris på 30. Vi har kostnader i bolaget per ounce som är ungefär 29. Det gör att lönsamheten är en USD då, per ounce man gräver upp. Nu har vi istället ett silverpris på 90. Då kan vi ta 90 minus kostnaden som fortfarande är ungefär 29. Absolut, vi har lite inflation, vi har lite ränteökningar och liknande, så den här justeras ju lite med tiden. Men låt säga att den är på den här nivån bara för att visuellt förklara hur den här hävstångseffekten är på uppsidan. Lönsamheten blir från $1 till $61. Då kan vi dividera $61 dividerat med 1 och det ger oss såklart 61, vilket är samma sak som 6100%. Så det är det här som är hävstångseffekten. Det här är varför jag har pratat om silver och guld så otroligt mycket på Instagram men även på ML Community. Och det är det här som jag har sett som stora investeringsmöjligheten. Den här 6100% lönsamhetsökningen, den syns inte i aktiepriset ännu. Absolut att bolaget är upp 400%, vilket är otroligt mycket. Men jag är här i den här bullcykeln för att plocka betydligt mycket mer än 400% då. Så jag tror att det är en bra introduktion till det här poddavsnittet. Så se till att lyssna på hela intervjun. Skriv i DM eller skriv i chattarna om ni har några frågor eller liknande. Och sen så kommer vi även att dra en slutsats i del 3 av den här videon då. Där jag och Clay avslutar och sammanfattar med våra tankar kring bolaget. Ha en fortsatt trevlig lyssning. Ta hand om er. So, welcome everyone to a new episode of the ML podcast. Today we are joined by a very special guest, someone who has been right in the middle of the silver space for many, many years. I'm very happy to welcome Mani, recently appointed president of First Majestic Silver. Mani, first of all, it's an honor to meet you face to face both in Stockholm and also in Frankfurt, and congratulations on the new role. And thank you for taking the time to join us.
Yeah, well, thank you, and great seeing you guys again, and it's been fun getting to know you guys over the last couple of months.
It's our pleasure. We really need to get to know the person behind the title before we talk about the markets and strategy and First Majestic Silver. So let's start with your story first. Give us the story of Mani. Where did it all start for you, and how did you end up here as president of First Majestic Silver?
Oof. Yeah, that's a loaded question. I've been with First Majestic for 10 years now. I've been lucky enough to have had an opportunity to work within the company in different parts of the business. So I came as part of an acquisition that took place in 2015 when First Majestic purchased a company called Silvercrest. That was Silvercrest Metals. And with that came the Santalena acquisition. So I came over as part of that acquisition and worked within the finance group for a few years. My interest was always budgeting and forecasting, so I spent a lot of time developing that department here within First Majestic. And that worked out quite nice. Got me a chance to learn the business, forces you to work with different departments. And after a little while, I had the opportunity to switch over to the operations team. So I worked for the COO for a number of years. I worked closely with some of the technical service team, building life of mine models, understanding how cutoff grades work, understanding how the cost components come into decision making, and really identify how to run a business, what areas we go after, what the profitability margins are. So that was quite unique. Then got a chance to switch over to supply chain and procurement, which was something unique. So I was the vice president and effectively the head of supply chain and purchasing for First Majestic. Also in that period, got a chance to move to Mexico, live there for a little while, got to learn the business a little bit better, learn some Spanish. Also had the opportunity of becoming a general manager for Jerritt Canyon for a short period of time. So that was quite unique. I was there leading integration. So when we bought the assets, I was responsible in integrating it within First Majestic. And after that, became the general manager for a number of months. And let's see. Okay, so that takes us to the next step, which was I've started with the CFO with finance, then moved to operations with the COO, and then Keith gave me the opportunity to work for him, so the CEO. So that became kind of full circle. With this, it was a new opportunity. So I was doing corporate development, investor relationships, investor relations, and sustainability. So again, gave me the chance now to be the face of the company alongside with Keith. So I'm able to tell the story and have a lot more substance. Have learned the business inside out. It was a natural fit for me to be telling the story. So I did that for a couple of years now, almost 3 years. Got obviously within corporate development, you get the opportunity of working on M&A transactions. So the most exciting one was obviously Gato Silver. We closed that transaction January of last year, so January 2025. But that took about a year in the making. So you get to learn how to lead due diligence teams, how to analyze transactions, how to analyze and building these models. So it's quite exciting, and brought the whole experience to a full circle. And after that, as a sign of the company maturing, and we're obviously getting moving and growing and focusing on silver. Keith created the opportunity of giving me obviously the presidency along with chief corporate development officer role at First Majestic.
Yeah. So we can conclude it that you have been in every part of the business, basically.
I've been lucky to have that opportunity, yes.
Yeah,
And I guess my responsibility is I oversee the mint, which is something very unique.
Congratulations on your new president role. I think it's a great time for it.
Thank you.
Looking back at your background and history and past experiences, what's one lesson that you've learned in your career that still guides you how to think about leadership and decision making today?
Yeah, it's something I mentioned recently. So it's when you work, I've been lucky to have a number of mentors in my career, and obviously Keith being the most influential one. There's two things that he's taught me, and it's you're only responsible for two things in your life and your career, and that's really what you think about and your actions, your own actions. You can't control everyone else's. You can't control what people do. You can't control how they behave. And once you realize that, it takes the level of stress, down to a minimum, because you can only control what, you're
Yeah, of course.
responsible. And that's ultimately what I'm going to get judged on. Okay, is this something within my control? Yes. Did I do the right, did I do the right decision there? If it's, I can't be responsible for silver price. I can't be responsible for cost. I can't be responsible for, my coworker or my colleague decisions. So that's ultimately, you keep that as a guiding point, and it helps get through things a lot easier.
Your mindset becomes especially important in the sector like mining, where cycles, volatility, and macro play such a huge role. Very insightful, and I really do agree with you. You can only control what you do and what you think. So just make sure that you where you focus on that parts. Great, and we have to continue with silver. In your view, is silver in a sustained structural bull market, or do you see similarities with 1980 and 2011? We have a spot market today as of $90. What's your thoughts?
Well, it's very exciting. It's silver broke through $30 only three times in our lifetime, right? So you mentioned the 80s, you mentioned 2011, and then now we have it broke through actually when we were in Stockholm. The first time it broke through $50, we were there, and that was in October. So what's happening now, it's a little bit different. When it hits all-time highs back in 80s and 2011, it peaked at 49 to 49.50 very quickly, and then it pulled back. And the move was very, very quick. There's a lot of short covering between the 40 and $50 example in 2011. This time, it took its time to build a base around the $30, around the $40, around the $50. So I don't think we're going to see silver trading at anything below $50. But what's happened then from the 50 to 90, I think that makes a lot of people a little bit nervous. It's exciting, but it has gone parabolic. I think me as an investor, and obviously as a president of a silver company, I'd like to see it build a bit of a consolidation before it continues to run at the trajectory that is done recently. I think it would be healthy for it to, maybe pull back a little bit to the 80s or to the 70s or whatever the number might be, and just trade sideways for a little while before it really takes this next leg to the triple digit silver, which we know is going to happen. But we just wanted to get there in a healthy manner.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your insights. Now, with the change dynamics and also the industrial demand for silver, we also believe that the bull market in silver is different this time. I'd also like to see some sustained silver prices where you can deliver some quarters with great financials. And then I think the investors in other markets will also find out that there's a bull market ongoing in the silver space. So thank you. But when you zoom out right now, what macro drivers are you watching the most closely? Is it the rates, the inflation, maybe the dollar, geopolitics? What really matters the most in your framework?
Yeah, to us, like when it comes to silver, we've been true to the industrial side. Like it's a whole the fundamentals are still there and they're stronger than ever. So, you know, we're reality is we're not getting any more supply. And that's what's happening. There's no more supply. Demand keeps increasing. You know, this a bunch of new industries are hitting the markets that didn't exist back in the 2011 and the 1980s. I think what's changing now, it's a lot more people are becoming aware of the story. There is obviously the geopolitical tension that's driving gold, and gold, you know, whether we like it or not, always obviously pulls silver. But silver is equipped with this other catalyst that I think others are waking up to that story now. Is there is a structural deficit, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So to us, I try. I mean, obviously, we pay attention to the macro, but you know, we stay focused on what we can control. Uh, you know, we have our production targets, we have our cost targets that we want to make sure we stay focused on, and you know, it's let the price do its thing,
Yeah.
which is currently the case.
Well, thank you very much. Now, with the underinvestment in the mining business for 30, 40 years, one can say that silver is a bimetal, and that makes that other how do you say it? Other gruvor. You can maybe help me.
Other minds.
Yeah, other mines that are shutting off. Maybe the copper space, as you've maybe seen. There's a big supply issue with those mines that affects the silver market as well. And with the 30-year underinvestment in the mining business, it's creating some tensions. I also believe that this time is different, and the macro is looking good for silver for the coming years. It's a
Yeah,
yeah.
and you see, I think governments are starting to wake up to the story as well. You know, we're seeing obviously the change in policymakers with the Trump administration, for example, in the United States, declaring silver as a critical mineral, along with the rest of the critical minerals, and the support, whether it's financial, whether it's expedited permits, is starting to hit. We're seeing things improve in Mexico as well on that front. So that's, you know, I think it's, yeah, I guess it's never too late, but you're right. Like 30 years of underinvestment has put us in this position. It's nice to see that things are turning, but it is going to take time before new supply truly start flowing through the market. You know, it takes on average 18 years from the discovery hole to production for a silver mine. And that's reality. You know, that's what it's going to come down to.
No. Really interesting that you mentioned that, because it's one of those factors that we've been following as well. The supply won't change coming years. Before we dive into First Majestic, we would like to hear a bit about your thoughts on the broad silver market as well. Are the silver stocks lagging the spot price, or are they fairly priced right now? What's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, like when you see silver run up so quickly, it has decoupled a little bit from the equities. The equities haven't caught up. You know, First Majestic has done quite well, obviously in the last year. You know, we're up 250% or so. That's great. But you know, if you told me that silver is at $90, what would First Majestic stock price be? it should be up there. It should be at $100, but it's not there yet. And we're seeing that across the board, across the industries. And I think investors and mostly generalists, that new capital hasn't come in yet because people want to see, they're not believing that this is going to be here for a while. And that's back to my point earlier. I think it would be healthier for silver to trade a little bit sideways, to build that consolidation, to build a new base, to give people that comfort. Hey, okay, there's a new floor before it does this next route. So I think I think there's probably quite a bit of investors sitting on the sideline right now. They're trying to figure out what to do with their money. The Max 7 all of a sudden now has turned to the back 7. So people want to, money's going to have to roll out of that and go into somewhere. Yeah. Bitcoin has not proven to be, the digital gold that people once thought it is. You guys might have a different view on that, so I'm not going to argue that. But ultimately, that capital needs to roll into tangible assets. Gold and silver are always the front row of that, but I don't think that's coming just yet.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of that you're saying. Now with the S&P 500 reached an all-time high just a few days ago, with the Nasdaq reaching all-time highs, I don't think we have seen a clear reason for the general investor to join the scary silver market yet, because the silver market has not been treating investors good since 2011, just now for the last year. And when the generalists see their portfolios reach new all-time highs each month, that they've been with the S&P 500 reaching new all-time highs, I don't think they've found the reason yet to rotate their capital, because they're reaching all-time highs every week, every month. So, but I think if we get some kind of top in the S&P 500, that will be a catalyst for many to rotate some capital into the scary markets of the metals. Well, great. Yeah, I think you can continue with
Nice.
the First Majestic.
I like what I hear about the macros and everything, and we share the sides of it, and we have been on it for a couple of years right now, and it's lovely to see how it's played out, and so very interesting to look a little bit more about First Majestic. So let's bring this back to First Majestic then, and how you're positioning the company for what's ahead. But first, could you give us a quick update on the 2025 production report that came out yesterday, and then give us a little bit more about the guidance for 2026, what to expect there?
Yeah, well, look, 2025 was a stellar year on multi fronts. We obviously closed the Gatos transaction, and that was a transformational one. The timing of that transaction could not have been any better, and it's no one will disagree with that. Gatos is the real deal. It's a primary silver producer, low cost, and it's been a fantastic cash flow for us. So now we got 3 cornerstone or district scale assets. You got Gatos, you got Santa Elena, you got San Dimas, and all of them were basically firing on all cylinders in 2025. La Encantada came in with a beautiful quarter in Q4 that I think was a pleasant surprise for the market. So that helped us have basically. So we've had, I guess every quarter in Q4, so 4 consecutively record quarters in the company's history. We produced just over 4.1 million pure silver ounces in the quarter, and we've done over 15 million ounces of pure silver for the year, and that's a beautiful KPI for us. I don't know if you guys were aware, but we revised our guidance mid-year. We increased it by about 7% on the midpoint, which, it seemed like a stretch, and a lot of people thought it might be a stretch, but First Majestic came in and met that guidance, and it actually beat it in some cases. We've outperformed gold. We came in at the high end of silver. So and we beat zinc. So it's a great position for a company like us to be in during these metal runs. So yeah, you guys will see. We'll put out the financials in a few weeks, but from a production stance, we've done as good as we possibly could have done in 2025.
Yeah.
And we put out the 2026 guidance as well. So that was something that the market was excited for. No real surprises. Things are going steady as she goes across all the mines. One thing is, it's a good problem to have right now, and we're going to see that in the industry wise, is with these strong metal prices. What it does is it enables us to reduce our cutoff grade, so we're able to mine a little bit lower grade than we would have under lower prices. So economics will be better, but that explains a small dip in our grades for 2026. So for silver and gold, they came down a little bit, but that generally means you're deferring some of these higher grade areas for future years, which extends the life of mine for our mines.
Yeah, that's good. And we saw that the 25 was fantastic. You accelerated all the year through, and it looks really good. So we are very excited to see about the economic report that's coming a little bit later in Q1. And we also recognize that you guidance down like 1 million ounce or something like that for 26 compared to 2025, and you just tell us why you just cut it down a little bit there. But I also see the ISK was up a little bit. I think you guide around 25, 26 something for a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's a little bit it's a bit of an accounting issue with this. So we report our ounces on a silver equivalent basis. So that means we take our silver ounces and then we convert gold, lead, and zinc into what they would look like under silver. So last year, for example, as you guys know, gold outperformed silver. So for every 1 ounce of gold, that was equivalent to about 90 ounces of silver. So right now, we're using 75. So despite us producing the same, if you produce the same number of ounces of gold and lead and zinc, the equivalency to silver is lower. It's not a bad thing. That just means silver has done better than gold. It's good for revenue, it's good for cash. But it just means our silver equivalency, our denominator, has shrunk without us doing anything. So when you have the same number of costs, same cost dollars divided on the smaller units, it appears that our costs are higher. So we try to explain that obviously in the news release, but what ultimately people should be looking at is the cash flow that's going to be coming in from the silver, gold, lead, and zinc ounces that we'll be producing.
Yeah, great. That's a good explanation. And I tried to read it there, and I thought I understand it pretty well. So, but it looks good. So exciting to see the 26. And if
One
we look
thing
at
we didn't touch on in 2025, sorry, is our exploration was a huge success for the company for 2025. We had one of the highest number of meters drilled in the company's history, and it's yielded some exciting results. Specifically at Santa Elena, there's 2 brand new discoveries that we've identified, and we're going to start developing them in the next, basically starting now. So these are going to be 2 new mines that are coming online in the next couple of years. Los Gatos, again, same thing. It's just been 1 year under our belt, but the exploration success has been phenomenal there. Massive land package. The exploration upside there is beautiful. And San Dimas, San Dimas as well. It's a well-known district within Mexico, and it's been around for over 250 years. So we're putting a lot of money in exploration, and it's starting to show some exciting results that we'll be following up on. So that's a big success as well.
Yeah, that was one of my questions, because it was so cool to see, because you had 2 major exploration successes on the one single year. That's not the norm in this industry. And when I look it up for 2026, it looks like you're going to drill like 260,000 meters or something like that. That's huge for a year. So we'd be interested in is all that type of drilling in Santa Elena and San Dimas, or?
It's split evenly. The majority of it is San Dimas. So about 115, 120,000 meters are at San Dimas, and then the rest is split between Santa Elena, and Los Gatos.
Ah,
A little
okay.
bit to La Encantada as well, but the majority is really going to the three big assets.
Wow, nice. Will be cool to follow that. But if you're looking back a little bit in 25, what would you say has been First Majestic's biggest achievements, whether that is operationally, strategically, or culturally?
Yeah, I'd say probably like our ability to revise guidance and beat our revised guidance. It's a trend you don't see many companies are able to achieve. So the fact that we had discipline budgeting in place, discipline execution, our safety is in the top, arguably the top 2% in the mining industry. Our TRIFR rate is unmatched. So we're very proud of that. So to have, these high safety records, high production, discipline cost, that really puts First Majestic in a separate category. I think the other part, it's a small part, but it's becoming a big success, is our first mint facility. It's been an exciting part of the business. It's I can't speak too much about the financials of it because the numbers are not out yet, but it's done it's done pretty impressively throughout the year. Again, quarter over quarter, setting records, and you can imagine orders are flying through the shelf right now with the way silver is moving. So that's a pretty exciting part.
Wow, yeah, cool. And First Majestic is often described as having a high silver edge. What does that actually mean in practice compared to other miners like Kort, Panam, Fresnillo? How do you translate a higher silver price into real shareholder value?
In terms of our silver purity, you've asked me to have some slides ready. This might be a good time to share a quick slide.
Yeah, show us. Should be great.
Okay, let me know if you guys can see this.
Not yet. Now we can see it.
Yeah, now.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll be updating this slide after Q4, but as of Q3, this gives you an idea of the exposure and the purity that First Majestic has compared to the peers. So at the end of Q3, when obviously silver, I think Q3 silver price averaged $39, almost 60% of our revenue is coming from silver. So obviously as silver price improves, our exposure increases. And that really what sets us apart from our peers. And these are the examples that we have. And these are really the peers that we measure ourselves against. We all produce about the same number of ounces of silver, between 15 and maybe 18 million ounces. But, you look at Hecla, you look at Core, Core spent just under $2 billion buying Silvercrest to get up to 34% of their revenue from silver. And then after this new deal, they're dropping down to about 20% with New Gold. So it's a company you want to grow for the sake of growing. I get that. But what differentiates First Majestic, we started the company focused on silver. 22 years later, we're still focused on silver. And that's not going to change. So yeah, that's we take pride in that, and we're going to continue to maximize the silver exposure.
Yeah. Wow, that's really cool also. And it's not many companies today that have that type of high purity or high percentage of the income coming from silver. I think it's you and Aya Gold and Silver. I think it's on the top there.
Yeah, and we like the mix that we have, 60% silver, 1/3 gold. Gold is nice because it gives you that stability in the portfolio. Silver is very volatile. Gold gives you that stability. It's nice to have the silver exposure. So I don't, at one point, First Majestic was 92% silver. It was exciting, but it makes you nervous all the time. When silver is up $2, $3, $4 like today, that can change your budget very quickly. So having that stability it gives us better control on the business.
Well, thank you. now we know a little bit better about your production and your acquisition about Gatos and everything, but we need to take a little chat about the Del Toro transaction. Can you walk us through the decision to sell Del Toro to Sierra Madre? And before you give us the time for the question, we would like to inform you that we are proud shareholders of both First Majestic and Sierra Madres, and we really enjoy this type of transaction. So bring it on.
Yeah, so I mentioned, First Majestic has been around for 22 years. Over these 22 years, we've operated a number of mines, we've built mines, we've acquired mines. We're always growing. Our first year of production, we did 25,000 ounces of silver 20 years ago, and we just did 31 million silver equivalent ounces. So the company obviously changes over time, and over time, you outgrow some of the mines. Mines that were once core to First Majestic become non-core as you buy bigger mines, as you develop bigger mines. And Del Toro is a prime example. We've had I guess 4 non-core mines over the last couple of years. We've divested 2 already. One already went to Sierra Madre, the La Guitarra mine. We also sold La Paria to Silverstorm a couple of years ago. And Sierra Madre has proven to be a fantastic partner, really, or an operator to La Guitarra. They picked it up when it was shut down under First Majestic because it was non-core to us. It was a little bit too small. Sierra Madre came in, deployed the right management team, deployed the right resources, and turned on La Guitarra in a pretty quick turnaround. We were very impressed by them. I think Alex, Greg, and the rest of the team have done a great job proving themselves. So we had, Del Toro was still available for us. We were never going to turn it on. It's a great mine, but it's just too small for us to move the needle. So opportunity came. We had a good conversation with Alex and the Sierra Madre team, and we trusted them to do something similar to what they did with La Guitarra. So we decided to sell Del Toro to them. We are a big shareholder of Sierra Madre, so it's obviously we're trusting them with our investment. We want to see Del Toro turned around sooner than later. We're there to support them as they need, but I think they're capable of turning it on pretty soon.
Cool, thank you. And that also takes us quick to the question about Jerritt Canyon. And Jerritt Canyon has been a topic for many investors are closely following. Where do things stand today? What are the key milestones ahead, and what should investors realistically expect from here?
Yeah, well, now is a very different time for Jerritt than it was a couple of years ago when we shut it down. Gold is obviously it's inching to $4,600 this morning, and when we shut it down in March 2023, it was under 1,800. So as you can imagine, the picture for Jerritt Canyon has changed quite a bit. We've shifted focus. For the last, I'd say, a couple of years, we've been pretty busy with Gatos. I mentioned our negotiations and due diligence started in early 2024, and we closed the transaction in 2025. Then we spent the last probably 6 months integrating and really incorporating Gatos in the portfolio. That has been complete now, so Gatos is completely done. So now our team is able to shift focus back on Jerritt Canyon, and it's a good time because it's like I said, gold is at an all-time high. So it's really Jerritt Canyon's proven to have a nice option for First Majestic. Our plan, we're finalizing an internal mine plan, and our plan is to share updates on Jerritt Canyon in the next couple of months, hopefully before the end of Q1.
Cool.
We've not stopped working there. We've had a successful exploration program in 2025. So we'll be providing updates on that program along with what the next steps at Jerritt Canyon will look like.
Cool. Very excited. Most of the people are waiting. Is it going to get up for production, or are you going to sell it, or are you going to swap or something? So, but I think everyone is been waiting for Jerritt and what's happening for a couple of years now. So, will be very interesting to see when the information is coming then. And we're looking ahead. How do you think about the growth? Is the focus primarily on organic growth right now, or is it you think an M&A driven, or is it a mix? What type of asset would truly fit First Majestic strategic if forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's there's obviously less and less names in the space right now. So it goes to show you how hard it is to find good silver assets. You know, we were lucky with Gatos, we were lucky with Santa Elena, we were lucky with San Dimas, but these assets they're not available anymore, and that's the reality. Our focus is, you know, we're blessed that we have a big land package around these assets, so we're able to explore, we're able to replenish depletion, you know, expanding in some areas. To your point, it's going to be a combination. You know, we have organic opportunities that we're pushing hard on, and we're always looking. You know, it's we're in a good position where, you know, we've just done a fantastic transaction not too long ago, so we can afford to be selective. We're not going to rush into something for the sake of rushing into it. We have a pretty detailed list of KPIs to make sure that whatever transaction we do, it has to be accretive to First Majestic shareholders. So you know, we have our eyes on a couple of targets out there, but you know, it's timing has to work, and yeah, so we'll see how that goes.
Interesting. It probably will happen things on the market in the coming 3 to 6 months. If we are looking at, we think we have like a type of melt up and then a type of bust. And I think in the bust there should be some really good opportunities to come up. So we will follow this up in a little bit later in this year, I think. And if we were sitting here a year from now, what would you want to be able to say the First Majestic delivered in 2026?
I think it goes back to what we started, meeting our commitments. You know, we put out our guidance. I want to make sure we hit our guidance from production, from cost stance. I want to make sure that our balance sheet is nice and healthy. We obviously feel it's in a very strong position, to the point that we actually just doubled our dividend, which is a big deal. So, you know, our dividend is quite unique because it gives you direct exposure on the top line. So it's revenue driven. As metal prices improve, as our production improves, shareholders can participate directly in that benefit. So to double that was a big deal. But yeah, that to me is success, is meeting those commitments, have a nice healthy balance sheet, and continue to grow.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you here, Manny. And before we wrap up, if you could leave our community and our investors with one core message about navigating this part of the cycle as investors, what would that be?
I think you know, it's everyone is doing well right now, so I think you're going to be quite careful with your due diligence on where to put your money, and it comes down to management and assets, right? So you need to look at track records of management, because it's easy to, you know, to base your investments on, okay, well, when silver's at $90, everyone's making money. But I think you gotta look at what management did when cycles turn and how they managed, and, you know, how you know, how they treated your money back then.
Yeah. And that's why one of the reasons why both Sierra Madre and First Majestic Silver is on our top 3 list. So we've been following your management and your decision making for quite some time, as I said. So thank you very much, Manny, for your time and for your insight. We really appreciate it and enjoy the conversation with you. And we also look forward to meet you again in PDAC in Toronto.
Well, looking forward to that. Appreciate the time, and always great chatting with you.
Och där är samtalet med First Majestic och Mani Alkhafaji slut. Vilket jäkla samtal vi fick. Superbra, supernöjd med intervjun, svaren på frågorna och allting. Och allting mynnar ut i att First Majestic Silver som ett investeringscase kommande tid, som vi pratat om på Instagram, som vi pratat om så länge, så många år i ML-community också, så är de väldigt, väldigt bra sits just nu med allt som händer. Så det tar vi med oss från det här samtalet också. Men vi har utöver det skrivit lite punkter här om vad vi tar med oss. Och första punkten där, vem är Mani egentligen? Clay, du kan...
Ja, men fan, det var ju otroligt att få träffa honom. Vi har ju träffat på honom vid några korta tillfällen både i Stockholm och senast i Frankfurt. Och redan där bestämde vi någonstans att det vore ju väldigt kul om vi fick sätta oss och prata med han. Få lite mer insikt vem han är och lite hans bild av både sektorn men också First Majestic då. Så att det är häftigt att se. Han har ju verkligen gått hela vägen i bolaget. Liksom börjat nerifrån, jobbat sen med finans, med operationellt. Gått vid sidan av Keith i många år och lärt sig. Och nu då som senast, bara några veckor sedan, så utnämnd till president liksom för driften av First Majestic. Så att det är en jäkligt ödmjuk, driven ledare. Och när man sitter och pratar med honom så får man ju väldigt tydlig bild av att han vet vad han vill, han vet hur han ska göra det. Och han vet vad som krävs för att lyckas framöver också. Så det känns jäkligt tryggt och det kommer ju vara en person som vi kommer garanterat få följa i sektorn oavsett om det är First Majestic eller ett annat företag i många år framöver. Det är jag övertygad om. Ja, men, och snyggt då. Och tittar vi lite grann. Han gick igenom och pratade lite runt makron och silvern. Väldigt spännande. Vi trycker lite grann och frågade på hur han ser på vad som händer just nu i silversektorn. Han tycker ju samma sak, att det var ju en tidsfråga bara att den här magiska 49 och 50 nivån som liksom hägrat sedan 80-talet och 2011, att den skulle plockas ut då. Och våran fråga var ju någonstans där liksom, tror han att det är någonting som är liknande rally som 1980 eller 2011, men där är vi nog ganska överens om, och han också förstärkt det, att liksom, det är en helt annan typ av setup. Det är mycket starkare idag, det är en annan fundamental tyngd bakom hela uppgångarna som vi ser just nu. Så att prissättningen mest troligtvis är inte en pump and dump story, utan vi kommer se ett högt silverpris under en längre period framåt. Så det ska bli jäkligt spännande. Och i övrigt så lyfter han väl också någonstans där att man ser väl kanske gärna att silverpriset stagnerar lite kortsiktigt. Att vi får en bra grund eller bas att bygga ifrån då. För nu är ju spotpriset väldigt högt när det har liksom rallat upp till 80-90. Så att säga att det kommer ner till 70-80, lägger sig, konsoliderar en bit. Värderingarna i bolagen hinner komma ikapp innan vi tar ut triple digit eller $100 som många pratar om. Sen lyfte vi och gick igenom och kikade lite grann, ställde frågan och djupdök lite mer First Majestic. Vi var nyfikna att veta lite mer om 2025-året. Och när vi väl börjar titta på det så är det ett otroligt starkt 2025. Man växer stort sett i produktion för varje kvartal hela året och gör det starkaste kvartalet i historien nu i bolaget under Q4. Så att väldigt imponerande att se. Man genomför ju även en acquisition i Gatos som man förvärvar. Och är också ett viktigt steg. Man får en asset med hög produktion och med låg kost. Och det var nog väldigt viktigt för bolaget att få in under första halvan av 2025 då. Sen så, någonting som man inte tänker på så mycket, det är ju faktiskt att de genomför ju sina 2 absolut största succéer när det kommer till borrprogram under 2025. Både i San Dimas och i nu glömde jag bort vad den andra hette. Men så träffar man ju faktiskt och får enormt fina borrresultat. Så att det är 2 succéer som man borrar under 2025 då. Och sen avslutar vi i stort sett året med att göra en Del Toro-försäljning. Och som vi var lite nyfikna att kolla på. Och mycket för att det är en ganska liten fyndighet. Visst, man kan sätta den i produktion, men den tillför inte First Majestic som producerar ungefär 30 miljoner plus EQ på ett år. Och Del Toro ligger någonstans på 2 miljoner. Och det är mer kost och jobb än vad egentligen bolaget får ut i det. Och då såg man en större nytta i att sälja den billigt till Sierra Madre. Och Sierra Madres förtjänst blir att de kan dubbla sin produktion via köpet av Del Toro. Och skulle de göra det så kommer ju market capet mest troligtvis gå upp gånger 5 istället. Och i och med att First Majestic har över 40% av bolaget i aktier, så är det ju en större vinst för First Majestic att sälja Del Toro till Sierra Madre än att sätta den själv i produktion. Så ett väldigt smart drag från dem, får vi ändå säga då. Och tittar vi lite grann vad vi förväntar oss då in mot 2026, så pratar vi lite grann om guidance. Den går ju ner ungefär 1 miljoner os. Det vill säga att den går från de här 15,5-16 som man hade nu till att man tror att man kommer producera 14,5-15. Och mycket i att man väljer att dra en produktion i en lite lägre grade. Vilket man får ner, men man får ner kosten också i produktion och man kommer tjäna mer pengar i slutändan. Så att det är ändå ett vad ska man säga, ett drag som man väljer att göra för att man tycker att det ligger rätt i tiden då. Spännande är också att se att man kommer göra det största borrprogrammet någonsin. Många gånger pratar man om att när någon annonserar att man kommer borra 20 000 till 50 000 meter så är det väldigt mycket. Men First Majestic kommer alltså borra 260 000 meter för 2026, vilket är otroliga siffror då. Isken går upp lite grann, $25-26. Och det blir ju automatiskt när silverpriset rallar så pass mycket, så blir ju silvret, kosten i silvret när vi kollar till EQ:n. Det är där balansen ligger. När spreaden var mycket större på guldet, så vart ju EQ isken lägre på silverpriset då. Så att den regleras lite grann bara, men egentligen ingen skillnad från föregående år då. Och sen så kommer vi mest troligtvis få se garanterat rykten och lite vad som händer runt något typ av förvärv. Det är som man sa, vi frågade lite grann hur tillväxten ser ut. Och i och med att bolaget är ju byggt på förvärv samtidigt som man ser att man ska kunna växa organiskt, så kommer vi säkert få en mix av det där då. Och skulle vi tillägga någonting som jag faktiskt ser att vi inte har tagit med i texten, så är det att vi kommer inom ganska så kort få lite nyheter även om Jerritt Canyon. Hur man ser det. Och med dagens spotpris, med liksom ett guldpris som står så otroligt högt, så ämnar man ju faktiskt att sätta den i produktion inom en rimlig framtid, och då kommer den ju tillföra ett otroligt tillskott i cashflow för bolaget då. Så väldigt spännande, väldigt rolig sittning med Mani, och det ska bli väldigt spännande att träffa honom återigen i Toronto då, när vi dyker upp där om ungefär en månad.
Precis. Någonting jag vill tillägga där bara, det är att jag bad ju om ett tips till aktieägare och investerare i silverindustrin generellt sett där i slutet, och han nämnde någonting som jag håller med om väldigt mycket. Var selektiva med bolagen. Absolut att sektorn kommer att prestera väl nu under kommande tid i och med att silverpriset är så högt. Men titta även på de här extra guldklimtarna som med case som har någonting utöver det normala, någonting extra som gör bolagen extra spännande. Till exempel management nämner han. Man skulle kunna nämna fyndigheter där eller liknande. Någonting utöver det extra, och inte bara investera i ett case för att silverpriset är högt då.
Ja, men och fylla i där, så helt rätt liksom. Och det är ju, management kommer verkligen vara prio nummer 1. De bästa managementen kommer troligtvis lyckas bäst under den här bullcykeln. Men sen kommer det också vara tier 1 assets. De bolagen som lyckas hantera och göra det på ett riktigt bra sätt kommer ju ha en edge mot marknaden. Och kommer även få värderingar därefter också med tiden.
Super!
Snyggt!
Stort tack för att ni har lyssnat allihopa, och det var det för det här ML-podden avsnittet. Ta hand om er!
Stort tack! Hej då!